Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. You are listening to the Next Gen Game Plan, a podcast for future sports leaders. I'm your host, Tyler Darr, and on this podcast, I will be interviewing sports industry professionals to learn about their career paths and what advice they have for those looking to break into sports. Today, we will be joined by Kelsen Adeni. Kelsen Adeni is from San Francisco Bay Area, right outside of Oakland. He graduated from the University of Arizona in 2017 with a degree in economics and a minor in sports management. After graduating, he worked in minor league hockey for the AHL's Tucson Roadrunners for 2 years before shifting to minor league baseball with AAA's Nashville Sounds in the same role. After making the jump to management in Nashville, Kelsen is now in a senior manager role in the NHL with the San Jose Sharks, where he oversees and retains the team's season ticket member base. Outside of work, Kelsen enjoys live concerts and watching and playing rugby. Kelsen, thank you so much for hopping on the podcast with me. How are you doing today?
Thanks, Tyler. It's great to be here. Doing pretty well. Just got off a couple of days of being in Dallas for NHL league meetings, so that was always fun. But getting back to the grindstone, getting some games tonight and tomorrow. Ready to be back at it.
Awesome. That sounds like a great time, and season's chugging along as always.
Oh, always. It's going with or without me.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Kelsen, to start us off, could you tell us about your background and your journey of how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was born and raised in Fremont, California, which is about 25 minutes away from Oakland, for people who know where that is. Always loved sports, my dad and mom raised me properly, 49ers fans, Oakland A's fans, San Jose Sharks, all of that. And like every kid does, wants to grow up being a professional athlete. And I realized pretty early on, that wasn't going to be me. So when I got the opportunity to, go to school, I went to the University of Arizona, fell in love with the place immediately. Obviously, Tyler, you and I are a little biased, but I can safely say that I made the right choice for me. While I was at the University of Arizona, I played rugby there for about 2.5 years. Then I was an intern at the University of Arizona's athletic department, where I did outbound sales, selling football, basketball, baseball, softball, Olympic sports, getting fans in the building and doing everything like that until I graduated. From there, I worked, like you said, in the AHL's Tucson Roadrunners, which was awesome. It was a great experience. Had to learn how to wear a suit properly for the first time. So learned a couple of things along the way. After a couple of years there, went to Nashville working in AAA baseball, where, I can't say any bad things about that place. Nashville was so good to me. I learned a lot there, met my wife, which is always going to be a top tier moment for me. And then finally made my way back here, working for the San Jose Sharks. It was kind of a dream, being able to work for the team that I was a season ticket member for, growing up, have a lot of great memories. And now it's really cool to be on the other side of it all.
No doubt. That's really incredible. I mean, kind of seeing, how you started off as a fan when you were younger and then now, moving around and now you're working for a team that you were a fan of for all along. It's pretty cool to see that. And then building on that, you've had a lot of previous sports related job and internship experiences, kind of like you just described. What did you learn from those roles and how has it helped you?
Oh, man, I think every single stop has taught me something a little bit different. When I was an intern at U of A, not only just with the athletic department, but I did, voluntary roles with FC Tucson, which is a USL2 team. I worked with the Ice Cats, which is the club hockey team for the university. And learning from that, it was just dive in. If you don't know what you're doing, ask somebody and volunteer for everything that comes your way, because you never know what it's going to be like. Oh, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I took the University of Arizona internship because it was the only one that paid. And I found out really quickly, I love talking to people on the phones. I love talking to people about Arizona football, Arizona basketball, all of that, and getting to know these folks and building that relationship. And I took it because I needed money, but it turned into my career, and then going in with the Tucson Roadrunners, that's a team that taught me professionalism. What it's like to really carry yourself. When you graduate at 21, 22 years old, you're not really sure about what it looks like to be an adult and working a 9 to 5 or anything like that. So, learning how to do all that was really helpful for me. Nashville, in terms of like professionalism, like learning how to sell everything and talk to people from all different types of walks of life. Whether it's a family of 4 trying to come out to a single game, or it's a business that's looking to come out to 75 home games a year and wants to be in a suite. Talking to people and connecting with people from all different types of walks of life and people that are different from you in every way that you can imagine. And then in San Jose, man, it's a whole nother ball club coming up to the major league level and working with, expanded responsibilities, working with a larger fan base for the first time in my life where, it's not 10,000 people in an arena. It's not 5,000 people in an arena. It's 18,000 people, or if you go to Major League Baseball, it's 60, 70,000 people in the arena. So learning how to handle that and, working with others on a larger scale is something that was invaluable to me as well.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like all the skills that you just described are all very important. And the fact that you trying all those different things when you were in college and all those other things that you got to do kind of set you up to where you are now is a really cool thing to reflect on. And then looking more into that, those experiences that you described have allowed you to work across multiple different sports, including baseball, hockey, soccer. What are the similarities and differences between them, and how has working within like multiple different sports influenced your career?
Yeah, I mean, I think working in multiple different sports is something I would recommend to everyone if they have the opportunity to do so. It just makes you a more well-rounded, not just a person, but as a candidate when you're looking for jobs and everything, because working at low-level soccer, USL2, I was doing everything from setting up the field, painting the lines, turning on the sprinklers, to setting up corporate activations. And, when you take that and you move on to the next level, which for me was the AHL, it's, hey, now I don't have to do that as much, but I know how to do it if necessary. And it gives me the opportunity to come across as multifaceted. I think working in different sports, every experience is just a little bit different. Baseball, it's a little bit more casual. Minor league baseball is definitely a little bit more casual. Wearing shorts and polos to the games and hats, because, when you're working 6 games a week, it's 95 degrees out in the middle of July. Like, you're not going to be wearing a suit all the time. Whereas, in the NHL, I'm wearing a suit every single game day, and then some. I think the difference is that I really learned that, sometimes it's not just the reasons are the same why people come out. It's just the means that are different. At the end of the day, mom and dad want to take you to a game. And whether it's minor league baseball, the NHL, FC Tucson, MLS, whatever, if you're a 7-year-old kid and it's your first sporting event, you're going to think it's the greatest thing in the world. And that building that experience is going to be the same regardless of what level you're at.
Amazing. Yeah, I think kind of like you said, like the actual product translates, but those skills you learn from each one can like show you that you have that adaptability and flexibility that can set you apart. Shifting towards people more towards at the beginning stages of their career, what are some ways that college students can set themselves up for a career in the sports industry?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I really only can speak to people who are getting into sales and everything because, I'm not the marketing guy. I'm not the graphics guy. I can't really do all that stuff. That's a different skill set than me. But for sports sales, like I said, volunteer for everything and anything, make yourself a well-rounded individual. But something I always look for personally is customer service experience. In college, prior to me interning at the U of A, I worked at the deli near Highland Market. I got to do that. I was making sandwiches 4 hours a day for, 4 days a week. I worked in a movie theater in high school, did a lot of retail work as well. So like when I'm hiring somebody and I see, okay, well, you might not have sports experience, but this kid, she was a cashier at Costco on Black Friday. That says a lot. Being able to handle that face-to-face interaction is so important. And especially like in sports too, like one of the athletic directors I worked under at Arizona, Greg Byrne, who's now at the University of Alabama, always said to us, hey, these fans, they're not going to talk to the athletic director. They're not going to talk to the coach. They're not going to talk to the GM, but they are going to talk to you. And that makes you the most important person that they're going to talk to. So if you can put on a good face and, kind of quote unquote, put on your customer service hat and be friendly and engaging with these folks, it's going to go so far and it's going to take you a lot of places.
I think that's like a really good way to describe it. You're the one that they're interacting with. You want to make sure you're providing them with the best thing possible. And kind of like you said, the customer service translates to everything, especially with the people relation skills. And then I know you just kind of mentioned customer service experience is something you really look for. Are there any specific skills you believe are important for people to have to be successful in the sports industry?
I mean, I think one thing to note is you got to have that passion, but you got to pair it with something. It's great that you love sports. We all do. That's why we're in it. And I think we talked about this before, Tyler, but like, I think coming in and being willing to do everything and anything and set yourself apart that way is the best thing that you can do. Because if you love hockey, that's great. What else can you do for me, especially at the higher level? And then ultimately being able to take criticism and being very, very coachable. Like a lot of people who are working in the sports industry, they've played sports in some type of way. They know what it's like to get some tough love on, whether it's the football field, the hockey rink, or wherever it is, being able to take criticism and not just, kind of grin and bear it, but say, okay, that's valid. How do I add that to my repertoire and make myself better? Because if you don't take that criticism and add it to you, then you're just, getting in trouble. You know what I mean? So the willingness to look into yourself and say, okay, maybe what they said does have a point. How am I going to make myself better?
I think that's a great point, especially like you said, being coachable. Like sports is such a flexible environment. You have to be able to learn how to adapt and make those changes that will help you ultimately succeed in the long run. And now looking back at your time at the University of Arizona, you played on the club rugby team. What was that experience like, and how did it play a role in your path of deciding to work in sports?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say enough good things about the University of Arizona rugby team. They're a real good program. I think they're top 10 in the country right now. They just beat Cal Poly, who is number 13. I keep updated, but for me, it was my first year going into freshman year, obviously, and I'd never played rugby before. And I was encouraged by my high school football coaches, and the exact quote is a little hazy, but it was something like, hey, if you still want to hit people and not get in trouble for it, play rugby. I was like, okay, perfect, say less. And so I did that. And at the time, the previous coach had just passed away, and Coach Sean Duffy, who is still there now, was about a semester away from joining the team. But I learned a lot in that first 3 months of learning a new sport on the fly and a different type of physicality and a different type of work ethic, and not a lot of people know rugby. It's a lot more cardio than football. So I had to, actually run and get in shape for the first time in my life. And then being able to just jump into that team with a brand new head coach who at the time, it was the youngest coach I had ever had. I think he was 26 at the time. And, being able to join that, got so many great experiences. I traveled to Oregon State, UCLA, Notre Dame was really cool. They had a rivalry match that they play every year against them. I wouldn't trade it for the world, but what it really taught me was adaptability, jumping into something that you've never done before and saying, hey, screw it. I'm here. I'm going to do it. And I'm not going to take no for an answer until I figure this out. And I wasn't the best rugby player in the world. I'll be the first one to tell you that. But, 6 months in during my freshman year, I made the varsity team and I got to travel to Notre Dame for an away game. And that was so cool to me because I had been kind of hovering on that precipice of, the varsity team and the B-side team, and to kind of make it there and show that I was justified. And, hey, I made that leap. I trusted myself. I learned, and I was a sponge. And that really justified my actions. I can't say enough about that rugby team.
Yeah, that's incredible. I can tell you had a great experience to see how much it taught you for both the sport and also just for life in general. And then the fact that you got to be a part of such amazing experiences. I think that's something that a lot of people really value closely and really cool to see. And then moving on to your time with the San Jose Sharks, what are some of the responsibilities of your role and what does a typical day in your job look like?
Yeah, so I actually just had my 1-year anniversary. So I'm about 13, 14 months in to my role here. And my main job is overseeing our retention team. So kind of the process for folks that don't know, if you buy season tickets, you're buying it through a ticket sales representative or an account executive. And then once you buy your full season, it gets passed to a service representative. So this person's job is to answer any questions you guys might have. Make sure that you're utilizing your benefits. Hey, you don't understand the app? Let me walk you through it, and troubleshoot anything and everything that can go in on that. And then the rep's job is to they're responsible for renewing that member each and every year. So a lot of it is, customer service, troubleshooting issues. But then the flip side is, we call them wow moments, going out of your way to really make their experience memorable. Whether it's, hey, it's my son's first game and being able to get them a warm-up puck, or, hey, it's my anniversary and hey, I'm just going to upgrade you just for the heck of it, bring you down to the lower level just because you told me it was your anniversary 6 weeks ago. Doing those special things that make people associate sports with having a good time, and that it's worth it, because we know at the end of the day, hockey tickets, they're a want, not a need. Nobody needs them to survive, but we want to keep them coming back and, building that community and that experience with us. And I oversee our team. So those reps, they have, 400 to 500 accounts. And then I oversee them, making sure that everything's going great, overseeing the renewal campaign. I have all the extra tickets, all the upgrades and stuff where they say, hey, Kelsen, this person's going through it. They had a rough couple of weeks. Can I upgrade them? Yes, absolutely. Here's the tickets. Let's bring them out there. Or maybe it's just as simple as a scoreboard message. So doing stuff like that and working with the team. I also oversee our season ticket member newsletters, our news blasts that go out each and every month, special offers, concerts, stuff like that, and making sure that all that information is sent out to our members and make sure they got first shot at it. And then on the day-to-day, it's a little bit different. That's one of the best things about it is on game days, you never really know what you're going to expect. Like today is a great example. We're playing the Winnipeg Jets tonight, and I got in. I was out for a couple of days. I had about 60 emails that I had to burn through, make sure everyone's all taken care of. Got a couple of meetings, and then next thing you know, it's our pregame huddle where we're talking, okay, this is where everybody's located tonight. I've got 2 groups tonight, and I'm going to be away from the desk to go help them. 2 of my reps have a pregame Zamboni, so they're going to be away there and taking their client out to the Zamboni. And then during the game, man, it's a free-for-all. Everybody's coming up to us saying, hey, it's been so long, even though it's been, we had a game last week. Hey, how's it going? And they just want to chit-chat, which is awesome. And then also saying hey, my app's not working. What am I doing? All right, then it's playing a little IT, so you never really know what to expect on a game day. On a non-game day, it's a little bit more administrative, planning for the future, talking about pricing for the upcoming seasons. The San Jose Sharks got approved for a good amount of money for building renovations. So I get to sit in on meetings like that of hey, we've got X amount of money. This is the vision. Here's how we're doing it. Here's how it affects you. And being able to sit in on stuff like that, it's super cool. But it's a lot more administrative work too at the same time, especially the higher that you go.
For sure. I think, first of all, congrats on the 1 year at the Sharks. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then, like you said, I really like the fact that you guys, try to make it such a personal connection with the account holders. I feel like that just stands out to them as a whole. And it just goes to show that you guys are really trying to make it a personal experience for them. And then kind of like what you were touching on with both game day and non-game day, it just goes to show that the sports industry is very fluid. And that's one of the things that makes it so fun is you never fully know what to expect at any moment. And it just keeps you on your feet. Growing up as a Sharks fan, what has it been like to work for one of your favorite teams, and what has been the most rewarding aspect of it?
Oh man, I could go on for days. You might need to get a second podcast for that. But I think the coolest thing is being able to wear. I'm wearing the Sharks 35th anniversary pin. And being able to say, hey, I'm part of the team. In the same way, but a little similar but different way that I could when I was 10 years old. On a professional level, it's really nice. It gives me a little bit of credibility with my clients, because it's not just Kelsen from Ohio. He's come here because he got the job and he's helping me out. It's Kelsen. He's from Fremont, California. His parents were season ticket holders, and okay, he gets it. So it gives me a little bit of credibility there. But, I get to sneak away every once in a while, watch the game. There's been more losing than winning the last couple of years, but seeing the team rise, it's so fun. And I told somebody last year that the losses cut a little bit more when it affects your paycheck, but that also makes the winning so much sweeter. It's really cool to be able to, I see, as much as San Francisco is a massive area, the Bay Area is massive, I still see people I went to high school and college with at the arena, and they're like, oh, Kelsen wouldn't shut up about the Sharks at 14 years old. And now he's over here sitting in section 1 or standing in section 106 working for the team. Like, that's really cool to see. And then being part of the future of the team is something that I can't really describe how rewarding it is. You know, like, they signed a lease extension for, I think, 50 years, which is an insane number to me. Don't quote me on that. I might have got it wrong. I'm not sitting in all the important meetings, but like, being part of the team where I could say, hey, we're staying in San Jose where they belong, you know, especially after, you know, as a personal fan, like, other teams had left. That means something to me, and it means a lot to the people that are sticking around too. But then it's like, on the fan side, like, you almost got to try not to freak out, especially when you see players and stuff like that. Like, one of the best experiences I've had so far was last year we retired Joe Thornton's jersey number 19. One of my directors, she said, hey, Kelsen, can you help out with merchandise? They need to bring stuff down to the pro shop. It's like, sure, no problem. Like I said, just trying to jump in and help wherever I can. I get in there, and I'm in a room with literally thousands of pieces of memorabilia, and Joe Thornton is sitting there signing every single thing on his own. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is Joe Thornton. He just got elected to the Hall of Fame. Like, this is my hero, you know? And I'm trying not to freak out. And so I'm like, not talking to him, not bothering him. And I say to the merch guy, there's 3-foot tall bobblehead of Joe. And I joke to the merch guy, hey, what's a guy got to do to get one of these, huh? And Joe stops what he's doing, turns around. He says, I hear if they play 20 years in the league, they just give you one. And I'm like, oh my God. My first thought is like, oh my God, Joe Thornton just talked to me. But then my second thought is like, oh crap, he just talked to me. I have to say something back, you know? And I was like, oh, well, you know, 29 is a little late to start my NHL career. Maybe I can get some lessons soon. And he's like, hey, go to Sharks Ice. I know a guy. Tell him Joe sent you. And so I was like, all right, cool. And then I had to carry a bunch of merch downstairs. But that was one of my like fanhood moments of like, oh my gosh, you know, I'm working for this team. This is what I've been aiming for. And now I get to do it. And he's like, you know, quote unquote, a colleague, a coworker. Technically, yeah, we're coworkers, but in the very thinnest sense. But that was really cool for me.
Yeah, that's such a great story. I think kind of like all of that you just said, like being a part of a team, and not only is it just being a part of it and helping in some way, but also the fact that it's your team. And then sports as a whole, like you definitely have to be a professional, but you at the end of the day get to experience those types of things like you just described that nobody else is going to be able to experience in their roles. And it's really special. And then outside of work, what do you like to do in your free time, and how do you find like a balance between work and life?
Yeah, I'm a big sports fan, obviously. Now that I'm working in the NHL, I'm probably watching a little less hockey because, you know, I'm around it so much. So not really turning on the random Edmonton Oilers game or anything like that. I still watch a lot of college football. Arizona's having a better year than the last couple. So we're doing good in that regard. I'm a big 49ers fan. My wife, she grew up an Auburn fan, but she graduated from Vanderbilt. So big year for college football sports for us. But on top of that, like, we like to explore. Like, my wife, she's new to the area. So on our free weekends, we're going to San Francisco. We're exploring downtown San Jose. It's something that I have to remember, like, oh, I've been to all these places. You know, I take Bart into the city. I did that in high school, everything like that. But she hasn't. So getting to experience that in new ways through her is really, really cool for us. Going to concerts, like I saw Kendrick Lamar in May at Oracle Arena in San Francisco. That was really, really cool. Just finding ways to kind of cut out the monotony of working in sports, but live events are always the way to go for me. And then at the same time, like going hiking, there's a lot of stuff to do in the Bay Area for that. Going to the beach, you know, if I could be, I'd be a beach bum and I would just stay out there the whole time. There's something about, you know, being able to kind of just turn your brain off and hike 5, 6, 7 miles, or, you know, turn your brain off and just post up at the beach and read your favorite book that you've been meaning to get to. Those are really the ways that I kind of try and reset. So it's just a lot of college sports, a lot of football, and, you know, trying to get out of there in nature and experience everything that's around me.
I think that's great. And I think kind of going on what you're saying, it's important to kind of find those hobbies that you can like go back to when you need a break, need to recharge, kind of like you are into the exploring new areas and having hobbies like that, watching sports. Everybody needs to find that type of balance in their life.
Definitely.
And then to finish us off here, if you could give one piece of advice to someone looking to break into the sports industry, what would it be?
Yeah, and there's so much, but like I think I said a little bit before, jump into everything. If there's an opportunity that's available for you, unless it doesn't absolutely make any sense at all, you can't say no. Say yes. Go in, say, oh, this soccer team that I've never heard of, they're looking for a game day intern. Sure. Do you know anything about soccer? No, doesn't matter. You're going to learn, and being able to experience that way, it makes you a more rounded person, and being able to take that, like, you never know what's going to help you 10, 15 years down from your career. Stuff that we did in Tucson working for the Roadrunners is stuff that's directly applicable to the San Jose Sharks. The situations are different. We're not playing in a convention center, but and it's it's a little bit bigger, but it's still the same sport. I'm learning stuff, or I'm using stuff that I learned in minor league baseball that that is applicable in the NHL. Don't be afraid to put in some hard work and get a little sweaty too. Sometimes literally working in minor league baseball, you're going to do a lot of stuff. Minor league sports in general. There's a video clip, I'm sure, somewhere on the internet of me being Dusty, the Roadrunner, on the news. The weather broadcaster asked me, he's like, hey, it's a beautiful weekend. This weather looks fantastic. Like, Dusty, break out your best dance move. And I panicked and I started doing the worm, and I can't dance, and like, it's so bad. I got made fun of by my friends, but you know what? Like, that's made me a stronger person. I can talk to somebody about it in the future. We can have a laugh about it. In minor league baseball, we pulled tarp a ton. I had never done that before, having not worked in baseball. I didn't even play baseball. And I knew that they pulled tarp on, but I figured, well, it's professional baseball. Like, they have another team for that, right? And first time it happened, my boss looked at me, he's like, we're AAA, brother. Like, get your Crocs on. We're pulling this tarp in the middle of the game in front of 10,000 people. It's like, all right, that's a learning experience. Now I know. And like, now I have that ability to say in the NHL, like, look, we're like, the higher you go, the more focused and segmented it gets. So it can take you anywhere if you say yes to everything, as many things as possible. Get that experience in, because you never know where it's going to help out, whether it's at Target, working as a cashier, working at a blue collar job, or, being an intern for a soccer team.
100%. That story, by the way, is awesome. But it is true. Like, everything you do, it translates to something else, and you just never want to say no to an opportunity because you don't know where it's going to take you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll see if I can find that video clip and send it to you. As long as I can't let it go viral. So I'll send that to you privately.
Sounds great. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Well, everyone, that will do it for this episode. Today, we were joined by Kelsen Adeni, the Senior Manager of Membership Services for the San Jose Sharks. Kelsen, thank you so much for your time. I truly appreciate you joining me on the show today.
Thanks, Tyler. It was great being on here. Appreciate it.
I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to listen to this episode. I hope you found it interesting and ultimately took something away that will help you in the next steps of your journey. And with that, we will see you next time on the Next Gen Game Plan, a podcast for future sports leaders.